Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 4. We're 4 episodes in. How crazy is that? I can't even believe it. But I'm so glad that you guys are listening, and I hope you're enjoying so far. This episode is super excited because today I was joined by two lovely ladies named Sierra and Alesia, and they both run Harry fan accounts. So if you know me through my Harry and One Direction related content, you're probably going to know these two because their accounts are two pretty popular accounts on Instagram, and I will make sure to link them in every description of this episode on every platform. Before we fully get into the episode, we didn't focus on the listening homework as much this episode as we have on other episodes, but if you still would like to listen to the listening homework, it is an album called The End of Comedy by an artist named Drug Dealer, and it was a really good album, so I highly recommend it. And the last thing before we get into the episode, I'm going to tell you the listening homework for next episode right now so that you don't have to wait until the end to find out. You can also just read the description if you don't want to listen. But the album chosen by the next episode's guest is called Petals For Armor by Hayley Williams. So if you'd like to continue to be a part of this listening homework deal, listen to that album in the next 2 weeks, and then we will discuss it with the next guest on the next episode. Anyway, that's all I have to say. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you later. Hello and welcome to this is going to be episode 4, featuring the lovelies, Alesia and Sierra, who I'm pretty sure, I'm like very sure a lot of our followers are overlapping. So I feel like a lot of people listening are gonna recognize. But if you don't, these two have Harry stan accounts. Is that what you would call yours? Like stan accounts, fan accounts on Instagram, and I'm going to link all socials and all descriptions and everything. And yeah, but it's Infinitely Harry and Tokyo Harry, right?
But without the A, but yes.
All right, cool. The listening homework for this episode was an album chosen by Alesia called The End of Comedy. Yes. By Drug Dealer. And Alesia, would you like to explain how you found out about this album or like what it means to you? A little background?
You know how whenever you're like listening to a playlist, you're listening to like a track of songs on Spotify and it'll continue to like loop different songs after the fact. And it'll just play stuff that's like similar. Mm-hmm. So I used to fall asleep to the same playlist every single night. Mm-hmm. And one of the songs that kept like every time I pretty much woke up to the same song, and it was Suddenly from that album. And I was like, I like this song. It always woke me up, but I really liked it. And
that was one I was going to say was my favorite that stood out to me when I listened.
Suddenly. Mm-hmm. And the beginning, it's so, it sounds like a New York-y type, like city background. And it kind of just takes you like on this little journey. But I really like the album a lot. So
I really, really enjoyed it. Did you give it a listen, Sierra?
No, I did not.
It's all good.
So she basically failed her homework. It's fine.
It's all good. You have till the end of time to listen to this album, so it's all good. But one thing I noticed, I like to listen to new music on walks because I take walks every day. There are some like albums or songs that are like great for walks, and then there's some that aren't. And I would say this definitely falls into the category of like this is great, like lots of instrumental sections and like very right, like just very city type, like so cool. I loved it a lot. I'm really glad that you chose it.
It's like one of those songs that you could also like, you could be on a subway pretending you're like the main character in a coming of age movie. That's the song that plays in the background 100%. So
very true. I think I agree with that. And Sierra, do you have an album that sort of jumps to the top of your head about like right now? Are you listening to anything or favorites of all time?
I thought hard about this question. And I would have to say, and I mentioned this as well earlier when we were discussing what albums we were planning to talk about. Honestly, for me, it would be the album that was released after Selena's death. It's Dreaming of You. I remember like being 16 and going to like trips because I would have to like take my aunt to like the hospital all the time. She was very sick. So I would play that song on repeat because she had some English songs and Spanish songs, and I sometimes truly do think I love Spanish music more than English music, to be honest. Or I found myself listening to Spanish music more than English music. Yeah, so for me it would have to be that album. If not, she has this album that also I think was released after her death, and it was a compilation of her last concert that she had in Texas, I think in Houston. But that whole it's called like Selena Live, and it's literally just a compilation.
You were both sort of telling me that you're not as much album people as you are, or maybe you are, but not maybe like you listen to more singular songs or a few songs from each artist rather than like
Yes,
albums. Is that
Yeah.
definitely?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
agree.
So if I know this is a very broad question, and it's like, I mean, it's almost impossible to answer, but like as we're on the topic of like favorites, like could you name a few favorite artists, or maybe not albums, but like songs that have been standing out to you, or any like just things that have been on your mind musically?
I can. I think this is Alesia speaking, by the way, and you can probably tell. Anyways, my favorite song, I think of all time, is "I Can't Tell You Why" by Eagles. Like that's one of those songs where I can listen to it 20 times in a row, and I would play it one more time. And another. I mean, I have like I could probably like list like 5 or 6 songs that I would consider my favorite songs of all time. Like, I don't know the entire Toto discography. I love Toto. I don't know. That one, I can't tell you why. That's like number 1. You'll have to come back around for number maybe 2 and 3, but that is definitely number 1.
That's awesome. I think like one of the things I was thinking about with music stuff, and I had talked about this in other episodes, like how people can have a really big superiority complex about music and like think that their tastes are better than others, or like,
oh yes, yeah.
And I feel like, as you know, like it's a constant thing that you think about, like, are people judging me for what I listen to? And one of the things I don't want this space to be is like a judgment zone, and I just absolutely hate when people have that sort of mentality. I think that's my least favorite thing that comes with like just loving music so much.
Yes.
So, do you agree with that, Sarah?
Yes, I actually was just thinking, I think to judge someone and to make someone feel bad for their favorite album or song or artist is something that's such a horrible thing to judge someone on, because it's something that legitimately brings someone so much joy.
Exactly.
And it's their moment of, they can ignore everything in the world and pretend that for like 3 minutes everything is okay in the world and in their lives. I think it's something, I think that's the worst thing you could possibly judge someone on, is something that brings them joy, like a music or an album.
Right. It's so unfair because like you can't really control what makes you happy. You can't like.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, do you think, as like, I know you guys aren't as much One Direction fans as you are like Harry fans, but even
no,
listen, whenever One Direction was a thing, truly, I was a fan. I could list every. I know you can't. I know, Sierra.
Oh yeah,
Saying, I could list every single song frontwards and backwards. I can sing every song off the top of my. Like, I know the lyrics. Like, they're just in there. They're just in my brain. Except for "Save You Tonight." That's the worst fucking song from One Direction.
That is one of my favorite songs.
I hate it. Anyways, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what?
No, it's the other one. Stole My Heart. No, that was
I love Stole My Heart.
I love that song.
I love that song.
It's "Save Me Tonight" that like didn't deserve to be on an album, but it's fine. But I
was thinking though, like, as One Direction, well, I guess One Direction fans and also Harry fans, like Harry's so, genuinely mainstream, and so was One Direction. I feel like that's a big thing that people like. It's a stigma to like something that's super popular. You've felt that sort of like wanting to, I mean, I guess you both, I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe not so much Harry as
Yeah.
One Direction, because I feel like I feel like he's less stigmatized, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, One
Yeah.
Direction was like a boy band, and like it was five boys
Right.
just like singing like boppy songs. But like Harry has kind of built this name for himself, and he's almost become a household name. So it's kind of different. I definitely have had to defend One Direction, not so much Harry, but definitely in the past, I've had to defend spending, I don't know, $1,000 on like a trip to see One Direction on tour. And it's like, but one day they'll understand because it's going to be like NSYNC one day. And I can say that I saw NSYNC on tour.
Exactly.
That'll be
Exactly.
something.
Yeah, Sierra, you were talking on your story a little earlier. You had a bunch of vinyls out. What were those? You want to go into your collection?
Yes. So a lot of these records that I have in my collection, I would go, I think they closed down last year. I think probably because of COVID. But it's this record store, and I always talk about it, Amoeba in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And they have $1 vinyls, $5 vinyls. What I used to do when they were open is I would go almost every weekend, and I would find a Michael Jackson vinyl for $5, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting it.
That's so
And
sick.
so yeah, some of them I have. Some of my favorite ones are like Elton John and Queen. I have some Rod Stewart on here. Um, and I also have some movie soundtracks as well.
You are a
Um,
big movie person, right?
yes, I think I love movies just as much as music.
Yeah, because I
Um,
remember one of the reasons why I started to actually know you. I think this is one of the first times I actually talked to you was when you were giving me River Phoenix movie recommendations, and I
yes.
a river movie phase for like 4 straight days. Like all I would watch for yeah. Also, Alesia, you are a big playlist maker. How do you go about making those with so diverse of a collection of songs?
I really do enjoy making them, but then also a lot of the times I have like a theme in my head. So say I want to do a playlist about like, I don't know, cooking breakfast, or it's something super random or something super obscure, like we're painting a single wall and then watching it dry. I don't know. But if it's it's something like that, but then after I do it, I just go through my song, like my library, and then I'm just clicking songs and adding them. So the reason why it may be super diversified, like super like all over the place, is a lot to do with the fact that my music in general is just all over the place. Like you got reggae, rap. There's like 3 country songs I may have saved on my phone, and then like everything in between, pop, rock, and sometimes I like seek out certain sounds, like if I know that there's certain artists that would fit the sound. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm making, like say I was making my cottagecore playlist. Okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna look up some grassy, like a Ram, by
Mhm.
Paul McCartney. That's a super grassy, folksy, nice album that reminds me of literally like lying in the grass. And yeah, that's basically how I'd make a playlist.
I'm
But
definitely gonna make sure to link both of your, if you're comfortable with this, both of your music accounts so people can look at your different playlists if you have any. So earlier in the week, I think Sierra, I think you brought it up, um, and I actually thought this was really intriguing, and I wanted to bring it up because I think it's very true to a lot of people that Harry maybe not fully influenced a different style of music that a lot of people took in, but like there was an interview he did with Zane Lowe, and I remember I listened to that and then had copied the playlist down, and I like listened to that one playlist like for like a week straight, and it was like a sort of an opening into a new style that I had known about but like not really delved into before. So would you too say, I think Sierra, you had brought up that you were saying that Harry had at least a little bit inspired a little like different music in your taste. Would you want
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna admit something, and I think I think a couple of my close mutuals know about it. Before Harry, I had only heard of Lizzo, I think, through her song Boys, and that was through the Booksmart soundtrack. And so when he covered Juice, I had never heard of Juice, and now like Lizzo is like everyone that follows me knows like Lizzo is everything to me. Yeah, I mean, also Casey Musgraves is a really big one. I remember hearing that Casey Musgraves was going to open up for him, and I was like, who? I was like, what? And I remember like hearing her for the first time, and I was in the pit, and I go home and I listen to her album Golden Hour, and I'm like, wait, no, this is a really good album. And Harry definitely, I feel like he definitely has influenced a lot of people to listen to Fleetwood Mac, Elton John, David Bowie, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You had told me, I think you said you were considering choosing the Casey Musgraves album, or no? I don't remember.
Yes, I was considering Casey Musgraves' album Golden Hour, because that's the one album I know left to right. I know every single song. I listened and love Casey Musgraves because of Harry, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
Not at all. So take it from here, whoever's listening. Go listen to Casey Musgraves' album if you haven't. And if you have, go listen to it again.
Yes. It's my shower album. It's my cleaning room album. I'm being so serious. Like, I listened to that now, if you want to talk about a feel good album, that's Golden Hour.
So true. What about growing up? Did you guys do you have any sort of like staple things that you would listen to growing up?
Yeah, well, growing up, you listen to a lot of the music. For me, at least, there's a lot of the music that my parents listened to. Like, my parents, both my parents were born in this like late 60s, and so it was a lot of music from like the 80s and the 90s, all like like classics, like music that everybody knows, which is probably why I really like Toto. And my mom was obsessed with Toto and Hall & Oates. My dad was obsessed with like just like random like R&B artists, Prince, Michael Jackson. My dad was into those type of artists, and so I feel like growing up, those were the artists that I listened to a lot, probably before. And then obviously, Cheetah Girls, like, come on, like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, all that music too.
Did any of it carry as you got older? Did you keep like listening to any of those?
Yes, I definitely kept the music that like my parents listened to. I sometimes guilty pleasure listen to the Cheetah Girls soundtrack, only Cheetah Girls 2, because that's the best of all of the Cheetah Girl movies. But beyond that, I think I definitely like adapted more so my dad's music taste than my mom's, but I listen to both of them a lot. Like, it's definitely something I've taken with me. Because did you hear that saying that was kind of like, when you hear music that came from like the 70s or 80s, you don't think old song, like you just think of it as a song,
right?
But then when you hear music that came from like 2006, you're like, this is such a throwback, this is such an old song, like you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's I don't know, it's different. But
no, I understand. It's like old from your life, when it's like early 2000s or something, like, oh, that's like, from when I was younger. But ones that are outside of your age, I guess it sort of transcends that time. What about you, Sierra?
My music that I listened to growing up is slightly different, because I literally only listened to music my mom would play in the car and CDs she would buy. And my mom's this older Hispanic woman, and English isn't her strongest language. So she would constantly play a lot of Spanish music, a lot of, and I don't mean like 90s, like Selena, Ricky, like, not, it's like, I'm talking like old Hispanic, like Spanish music. I remember I would literally yell at her in the car, and I'd be like, I don't want to listen to Spanish music. I'm tired of this. I don't want to listen. I want to listen to English music. I want to listen to, what's on the radio. And I would actually get so upset with her. And I can't imagine having a child, your own child, be mad at you for the music you listen to and love. And what's ironic is a lot of that music that she played when I was a child and I hated, I'm on Apple Music at 3 a.m. looking that same music up.
It comes back around.
It comes back around. Like, I don't know. I think your parents also, like, it's kind of like, ew, my parents listen to this song. Like, I don't want to listen to it, you know? And as you get older, you're kind of like, oh, thank you, though, for that. So
it's a certain level of maturity that you hit. I think that, like, when you're okay with listening to what your parents listen to, I guess, because like it all, I think it's right. It's like as you grow up, you sort of appreciate it more. I feel like we can all agree that music brings so many people together, and just like even with us three, there was a musician that fate led us to lead to each other. You know what I mean? And I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to talk about this with you guys, and like this is how we know each other, is through music. I mean, maybe not directly, but basically, I mean, that's how we know each other.
I mean, we're talking right now. I think that we should be very grateful, and I don't think I think about that enough. I literally would not know any of you guys, if it wasn't for Harry. So
exactly. And through his music, and I know he's on his little actor era right now, but like I know he's gonna come back strong with something sometime, and I'm so excited to like share that with you guys. But do you guys have any other like music related things you want to bring up before we
Emma, I would really like to know your favorite song of Harry's, because we didn't really talk about Harry's music much at all. Like, what's your favorite song on Fine Line, and then also self-titled, because it's really important to me.
Off of Fine Line, I would say, well, my top listened to song of 2020 was Canyon Moon. So I guess by that sort of like system ranking, I would say Canyon Moon. But other contenders, Sunflower Volume 6. And I've been really happy recently. So I'm not thinking of like the sadder songs right now, but like I love Adore You, love Lights Up. Yeah, I'd say those are top 4. And then from HS1, I've always been a Ever Since New York type of gal, or like an Only Angel. Really? I don't think he's released a bad song yet. What about you guys?
I respect your answer. No, for me, my favorite song on the first album, top 3. No, first album, I really only have one song that is truly my favorite on the first album. That's Meet Me in the Hallway. Every other song kind of just follows a ranking, but my favorite, hands down, is Meet Me in the Hallway. And then from Fine Line, my favorite song is Fine Line. But I think from a musicality standpoint, To Be So Lonely might even top that one. I think I like To Be So Lonely because of the music, because of like the music, like the instrumental, almost like like all the extra,
So incredible.
And then with Fine Line is just a beautiful, like the lyrics are my favorite, and then like the instrumental part at the end is like incredible, and it just makes me so sad but like happy, and like just like gives me the whole thing of emotions. So those are the 2 that are tied for me. But yeah.
Hey, I mean, I agree with you because I love all of them, but yeah, those are good choices.
My favorite from Fine Line, hands down, has to be Sunflower Volume 6. Yeah, it's never gonna like, it almost made me emotional. I was telling I'm gonna say your name wrong right now. I'm gonna say it wrong right now on the podcast. Alesia. Okay. I was telling her a couple months ago, I was actually so sad because I was listening to the song live, and it was on YouTube. It was when he was in London. I think he was in London. He was wearing that yellow, it was like that all yellow outfit. Basically, I forgot what it was even like to hear the song live, even though I saw him at the Forum. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the fact that we weren't able to hear this on tour. And I mean, who knows, we still might, but it almost made me emotional. I don't know, I think that song it definitely has to be the best one. I mean, I'm waiting for Sunflower Volume 6 to be a single because I know it would be a hit. But
It's the
okay,
next single.
okay,
It's the next single. It's the next single.
manifesting it
Manifesting it right here.
right here on the podcast.
And what about from HS1, Sierra? Do you have any favorites from HS1?
Honestly, dude, I haven't even listened to that album in like 7 months. I even does this make me a bad fan?
No, we don't have to. I mean,
yes, it does.
I think okay, no, Carolina. Is that the song? Is that the song? Okay.
Oh wow.
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. No, that one would have to be my favorite from the whole album.
Awesome. Well, that's, hey, I love to hear people's opinions on stuff because I feel like it's people get scared to talk about their rankings. I feel like sometimes, like just out of fear of judgment. But again, judgment-free zone here.
Okay, well in that case, Two Ghosts is definitely at the bottom. It's at the bottom of the list, but still a good song because, as you said before, he hasn't released a bad song.
Yeah, honestly, and I think that's so impressive.
He definitely hasn't. No. Oh yeah, I have a question for you.
Oh sure.
When you first of all, 2-in-1 question. It's a 2-in-1 question. What made you really start listening to like Harry / One Direction?
Mm-hmm.
And 2, did you ever feel judged by anyone? Yeah, for starting to listen to Harry. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
like for being late to it, or just for in general?
Yeah, to being late for it, and also, yeah, I'm curious to know about that because I haven't really met a fan. I know last year was a really big year for Harry though.
Yeah.
So and he gained a lot of fans last year.
Well, okay. I listened to One Direction as like in middle school or elementary school, like when they were still together. But I didn't have social media, so I didn't keep up with I didn't really know anything about them. I just knew their singles, and like I would hear from my friends who were like huge fans. But then I sort of forgot about it for years, and then in 2019 I started listening again, and then around when the one distinct memory I have from like actually realizing that Harry Styles was like doing his own thing was I heard Sign of the Times on the radio, and I don't remember my opinion on it, but I remember hearing it. And then also years later, I saw the Lights Up video when yeah, I was like, oh my god, this dude is like, he's kind of killing it. And then he came to and then Fine Line came out, and I was listening to it as when it came out. I by that point I was a fan, but I still wasn't like keeping up with stuff that much. Like I think I had followed your accounts like in February, so it was like a couple months after whatever. And then but he came to DC to do the Tiny Desk concert, and I live in DC, so I remember the day that happened. I had a friend whose mom worked at NPR where it was being recorded, and said she had pictures of him from it, and like he was in DC like when I was at school, and I remember crying, and that was the first time I really remember being like, oh my god, I'm a huge fan. So that was like really like a year ago. So then it sort of tumbled and fell, and I like dove in, and then quarantine hit, and I started posting about it, and that was like the peak of my but I think definitely there's, I mean, I feel sort of like I don't want to tell people that I'm newer, but I got over that, because seriously, if anyone's going to belittle you for the length of time you've been a fan, I think that that's really unfair, because a fan is a fan. If a supporter is a supporter, if you're a true supporter, if you truly like respect and support the person that you're a fan of, I think that means more than any length of time that you've been a fan for. And a question that I had for you two actually on this topic is, how do you have the motivation to keep up your accounts for years or like months on it? Because I had mine for 8 months, and then I don't post on TikTok anymore, and I'm still huge.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I'm not a part of the like fan page community anymore, I guess. Like I don't have like a fan account. But how do you guys keep it up?
Well, it's tough. I think the only reason why I've kept it up is honestly because of the people who follow me genuinely. Like it's like a tiny little family, like a tiny little community of people that I genuinely adore. And so it's really hard for me to go away from them. Like every other aspect of Stan, Twitter, fan pages, whatever, Stan, Instagram, whatever, I could easily leave because a lot of it does feel like a nuisance sometimes, but it's because of, you know, the people. Like I love the people who I've been so fortunate enough to like know, just like every single person. Like they're so sweet, they're so kind. It's honestly great just to know that they all came to my page and decided to stay, and then we can all just like love Harry together in like a little bubble, like a little community of just like Harry lovers, and we can just they're just I can't speak highly enough of them. So that is the only reason, genuinely the only reason why I've stayed. Like every other, for me personally, me. But you know, obviously I like talking about Harry and everything. He's cool or whatever, but like um
It extends
having
beyond that. It's
it
become more than that.
yeah, for sure. Like I just happen to be around like the greatest people ever. So that's what makes it worth it for me personally. But I don't know, Sierra, what do you think?
I've there's been many times where I have felt like kind of taking a break from my Instagram, and like I just couldn't keep up with it really. But I think the main reason, what motivates me to keep my account and keep going is honestly all the opportunities I've gotten through the account, all the people I've met, like just you guys right now on the phone. I think like, you know, it's also again the people as well. And I can't imagine not having this account basically. I think my life would be so sad and boring, and everyone's super positive for the most part. The same
That's
thing for
so
me.
That's so cool. I love the, well, for the most part, I'd say. I love the community that comes from like being a fan of things. And that's something again, like it's beyond Harry too, but it's for everything. Being a fan is so rewarding and so much fun and so like joyful. I think that like being able to share love for something or someone and share it with like a group of people, I think is so cool. So it's awesome, and I'm so glad to have met you guys. I think that that's gonna wrap it up for us, unless you have any
Okay.
last comments. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on with me, and I'm so glad that we made this work out. And
Thank you for asking us.
of course, I love to. I'm so glad you guys are my second guests. I feel like it's only fitting that you guys are some of the first people to be on. But yeah, thank you.
Emma, before we go, I just want to ask you, do you feel like, I know you've only done 2 episodes, I think, so far, right? No, 2 podcasts.
Yeah,
Do you feel though that this has been therapeutic at all?
yeah,
Towards
definitely. Yeah, 100%, because I love music so much, and I wanted to keep talking about stuff that I love, but on in a different way. Like I had TikTok for a while, but I think this is I'm really glad I'm going through with this idea, because it's really been it's really nice, and I love hearing about music from other people too. I just I could listen. I could sit here and talk with you guys for literally hours about every single song you've ever listened to. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, it's been really it's
Yeah,
really
because I was gonna think that this is a really fun, like every 2 weeks or so, you like sit down with like really cool people and like your friends and mutuals. Like that sounds very therapeutic, if I'm honest.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you later. Bye.
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 Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. Please let me know what you think. I hope it was enjoyable. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Much love and many thanks. All right. Bye-bye.